It's on. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Leif Baradoy. Just a note, the Whova app allows you to ask questions through it. So if you want, you can ask a question through the app, and I'll check questions at the end. Hopefully, I stick to 20 minutes. So yeah, my name is Leif Baradoy. I started a company called Giftbit 12 years ago. It's been quite a journey, and I'm happy to share some of the lessons I've learned on the way about building success in the company through culture. And a bit about Giftbit, we've got a booth at the back. We do global rewards and payouts for businesses. So you can send out, digital Visa cards, MasterCards, Starbucks cards through Giftbit for a variety of HR reasons, payouts, etc. Team at the back can talk about that. A little bit about Giftbit. We're 30 people across the USA and Canada, expanding globally. We've got an average of 87% job satisfaction across our team. We've got really low voluntary turnover, just one voluntary person in the last couple of years. We have some involuntary turnover, and I'll talk about that as well to keep things clean. 10,000 job candidates in the last 5-6 years. So when we post roles, we are very successful, not just recruiting people, but having really great people actually apply for jobs with us multiple times, upskill, and then come back, apply for other jobs. And 3 of our current team members have applied more than one time. So we're really proud of that. Our work is a big part of our life. And at Giftbit, we really guide ourselves by what we call our cultural principles. And so I'm going to talk a lot today about culture. So these are our cultural principles. Your business, your team may have its own separate culture. But a couple of our principles that I want to emphasize that are really important to our day-to-day behaviors in our team, how we treat one another, how we treat our customers, how we treat our vendors, is we have a practice of being very candid and kind. Internally, we believe that work should support prosperity and the fullness of our life. And we have a habit of teaching people and teaching ourselves to lead ourselves first and then others. So on culture. Culture and strategy obviously work together. People talk about culture eats strategy for breakfast. I think culture and strategy are almost in a dance or a conversation with one another. So they're very responsive. As your business is changing, as all of ours are in this fast changing world, either can lead, but when culture and strategy are working together and aligned, they actually equip people to make very good judgments that are aligned with the company more quickly with less oversight. And that's what we all need in our business. More empowerment, right? Enabling people to make good judgments with less red tape, less oversight. So culture and strategy working together are in a growing business in a good market are actually the necessary conditions for individual happiness and success and also business growth. So your culture is your style in action. It's who you are. So what you do is who you are. So your culture is behaviors, the systems and practices you build to maintain those behaviors, obviously, and then how do you actually practice those systems, right? Do you actually do the thing? And a reminder, culture is both how we treat each other internally within our teams and externally. Healthy culture makes change, hopefully purposefully. I think a healthy culture notices when the world is changing, when the business strategy is changing, and how our interactions internally and externally need to change to accommodate that. Specifically, Giftbit started as serving small and medium businesses. A number of years ago, we started moving up market to serve large enterprise businesses, becoming SOC 2 compliant. So we went up market. That caused a massive culture change in our business. And we're very conscious about that. We actually said, okay, this is a moment of change. And we talked about how the old ways of doing things, the legacy thinking, were not going to serve us as we moved into a new area, to a new environment. So if you notice your business moving to a new area, a new environment, that's going to change your culture, and be thoughtful about what that actually means. Okay, so how do we get to these cultural principles? Define your culture through observation, not aspiration. I'm the CEO, I'm an aspirational guy. I'd love to throw words on a page that mean nothing and that's just going to create a culture of hypocrisy. So what we do at Giftbit, and what I encourage you to do, not just if you're a large company, you might not be able to do this company-wide, but you can do this in your team, You can do this with your reports. You can even do this on one-on-one, is actually invite people to observe what is happening around them. Try to discuss reality. Include as many people as you can, and then identify the strengths. Who are we when we're at our best in our very real behaviors? And what we learned is like less is definitely better when trying to write down your cultural principles, but do so based on observation. Once you do that, obviously write it down, create a cultural artifact, and then publicize them. So at Giftbit, we put our cultural principles, it's linked on our website, and I'll link it to you all later. We put them in our job postings, we put them in our handbook, we put them in our offer letters. We are very clear about who we are and who we're not. And that is magnetic. And magnets, of course, attract and repel, right? So very early on, we're saying this is who we are as a culture, and that's going to attract the right people and also help us filter for the wrong people who are not going to be happy in our organization. So by having cultural principles, by publicizing them, it acts as another really strong filter for yourself and your team. Also, by having them written down, they can orient us. They orient my team, they orient myself, and they orient us in a few different ways. One, not just to say, hey, are we meeting our principles? We said this is who we are at our best. They orient me because, so they orient us because they equalize behavior across the team. Myself as a leader, I am subject to the same cultural principles as our brand new intern. So they are a leveling effect. They also orient us because if we start noticing we're doing behaviors consistently that are outside what we define as culture, it's a really good time to say, hey, we might need to review our cultural principles so that we can better attract the right people. So create artifacts, review them, make them living, make them part of your day-to-day. Specifically, culture and hiring. So we craft a very fast and human hiring process. We post salary ranges. That's about being candid and straightforward. I know many of you do. Best practice. We work really hard to disqualify people quickly and kindly. We all want to know, when we're applying, that's an emotional process, applying for work. So being able to, that's sort of to our value of candor, focusing on the job to be done. We personalize responses as much as possible. We use tools like Rippling for templated response messages to candidates, but we always take, when possible, take a moment, especially when we see people putting in the effort, to personalize responses. And then one of our cultural values is focus action on the job to be done. The job to be done in hiring is hire a great person. So we have mechanisms to accelerate really great candidates. And we do so, so sometimes we'll, with a small set of strong candidates, we'll move through our hiring process very quickly so that we're not wasting other people's time. We're trying to be respectful, kind to everybody involved in the process. And if we have a couple of strong leaders, we'll actually accelerate our process so that we can pursue the right people and not waste other people's time. Of course, set expectations and timeline. And as I mentioned, we discuss culture early, usually in the second or third interview before we hire someone. We talk about our cultural principles, what it means to them, what that actually looks like day to day. We talked about cultivating trust in the company, one of our principles, supporting prosperity. So big one, pay people generously for work samples. Work samples in a variety of different candidate roles can be a wonderful interview tool. And so at Giftbit, we actually use our own payout service to pay people, depending on the scope of work, to do payouts for work samples. That creates a wonderful experience for them. Giftbit makes it very easy, compared to bank transfers, which we used to do it same day. And that shows our values as a company of respecting people, of moving quickly. So it says a lot. So that's another cultural moment early in the hiring process where we pay people for work samples. So, goal of hiring is not just to hire a candidate, but hire a candidate that's going to stick around, right? Attract someone long-term. One of my favorite interview questions that's quite candid is to, once rapport has been built with strong candidates, to ask them, if you could imagine leaving us in 12 months, why could you imagine that might happen? It's a really strange question, but what we do is we use that question to sort of notice what are the underlying values concerns and principles that that individual has that's important to get us thinking about how we might retain them, what matters to them. So we document those, we write those down in either a Notion or Rippling, and we discuss those, how those might change in future performance reviews. So again, that's creating a moment for collaboration, and then some candor, and then having the right systems in place so we can talk about it later. Okay, culture and onboarding. We try to create memorable cultural experiences on day one. Currently, we have really strong onboarding checklists. Probably will be done by AI in the future with all the wonderful tooling out here, which I think is wonderful. An important day one experience at our company is getting our team members to actually experience the product, right? So we send everyone a reward payout. It's also nice, hey, here's $100 for your first day of work or whatever the amount is. But it shows them the craft that's put into our product. It makes everything very concrete, right? It doesn't only delight them, but it shows them very concretely, this is our business, and this is the craftsmanship that we put into our product. And then usually on day one, sometimes week one, depending on my schedule, I also sit down and talk about our company operating system with our new hires, which is our culture and our strategy, both of which are documented in our Notion. They can go back and read it later. And then I talk a little bit about our company history. The reason I talk about company history is I want to give people a sense that things change. And we're an organization that grows and changes, and they need to be part of understanding that we have a history of change, and we expect to continue to change and grow in the future. We're not a static team. Okay, culture and retention. So we put our cultural principles right in our quarterly performance reviews. We believe that fosters trust and collaboration, and we ask people to think candidly about their experience of culture, because as I mentioned before, we really want to avoid having a culture of hypocrisy, which is words on a page and then behaviors are radically different. And so the way we create openness for conversation around culture is to one, emphasize our cultural principles in both formal and informal feedback, but then create space and say, hey, as you think about company culture, what went well, what was tricky, and what would you do differently in the last quarter? And those these three questions are very common throughout our company, and they sort of create a lot of safety around having open conversations. No one's making declarative statements, and it creates space for managers and for individuals to sort of really notice what's going on and talk about their real experience. And I think that creates a healthy culture of change. Embrace the consequences of culture. So we talk about trust and collaboration and supporting prosperity. We have a very growth-oriented culture within our team, and that actually enables people to have more options. So one of the things about being candid with our team, upskilling people, is that sometimes the trajectory of our business and the trajectory of someone else's life might start going different ways. And so we actually embrace and celebrate when, someone on our team who's worked as a star player wants to return to school to go to law school, takes a job at another place. We recognize that people have their own trajectory in life, and that it's not within our culture of growth to really hold on to people when they're going a different way if our business can't offer them the opportunity to explore their needs and wants. The other side of that, of course, is letting people go kindly and fast. Part of our value of supporting prosperity is trusting that when we respectfully dismiss people with as much dignity as possible, that is also part of the change. That is part of being with change and creating a healthy and positive environment. So we've learned that letting people go when things aren't working kindly and fast, having the right supports and infrastructures to enable that to happen is actually the best and healthiest thing for everyone involved in the business, including the individual who is going on to the next part of their life career path. And so that's been a really tricky learning, but part of the piece that we've learned as well is offering very generous severances, usually sort of below or above what we think is far above legal entitlements. They also get a waiver. And so that sets people off that the team that remains knows that everyone's treated well on the way out. The person knows that they're, once they get past their emotional roller coaster, that they're actually okay and they're going to be able to find the right next thing. Okay, that's it. Your culture is your style in action. I encourage you to have, to document and have conversations about your behaviors, who you are in your day-to-day, lean into your strengths, and be intentional about that in your business, because I think it creates a wonderful experience for individuals. And I also know that it's powerful and strategic for business growth. If you want to read our cultural principles, you can scan that. You can find me on LinkedIn. I got 3 minutes, and I'm going to check some of the questions that came in. Oh no. First one, okay. Is culture more important to business survival based on agility ethically? My belief is that culture is important to business growth. We can survive a lot. We can survive bad cultures. I think that you get, when I was talking about how culture attracts and repels people, I think you get people's best work when you have a strong and clear culture. It allows people to select in, to be there, to move quickly with an organization, to grow with an organization, and then also to say, hey, I want to go a different way. This place is, this culture is not working for me. Thank you very much. I'm on to the next pace of life. So I think a culture that's not working works against business strategy and growth. So having them aligned is really critical. How would I suggest to make responses and recruitment personable when we get plus 100 applicants? Yes, eventually they may become customers. So we've definitely dealt with that. Potentially AI tools could help with that. What we do is when we have a flood of applicants, we try to personalize as many responses as possible. We try to note the applicants who put in the most effort. So, someone's taking the time to write a personalized cover letter. We should, be responsive to that and give a similar level of effort. We also know that there's like automated applications, right, through all sorts of tools. And so depending on the number of applicants we sort of stack rank which ones were available to, which ones are priority to personally respond to. So that's how we currently do it. Don't have an easy solve for that one. How can you avoid eliminating the right culture candidates before they are interviewed? So there's the words we have on the page, and then there's the reputation that our business has that's created by our culture. And I think that we, by having our culture documented, usually, I don't know, we might be cutting out some of the right people at the early stage. That's just life, right? That said, I think we have enough good processes where we're getting enough of the right people. And it turns out some of the right people who are really attracted to the organization will usually write that, personal note, LinkedIn connect to somebody on the team and write a personal note and sort of put their hand up in a way that says, hey, I've read your cultural documents. I like this, or, I've heard about your business. And so usually we get enough people sending us positive signals that if there's other people we're missing, that's just the game. Okay, I'm at time. My name is Leif. Come talk to me anytime, and thank you for your attention.